Shower me in gravy and call me a biscuit. Welcome back to the North Shore Station. I'm Lucas D'Orazio here, Season 2, Episode 9 of the North Shore Station. We are once again in the basement of College Hall here on Duquesne University, the campus of Duquesne University. I'm Lucas D'Orazio, like I said, joined here with Dom Farrow, my co-host. And on the sticks, we got Camden Euler back there.
Sure.
Shout out Camden.
Shout out Cam.
Our boy.
Ones and twos.
Yes,
It's
as
not about
always.
how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you can.
Yeah, we'll get to that, of course. But
Forget that.
Week 8 of the NFL season has just occurred. Week 9 is coming up. We're recording this on November 1st, All Saints Day, Monday. We're about 45 minutes away from the kickoff of the Chiefs and the Giants game on Monday Night Football, so we won't talk about that game, obviously. We won't be able to touch on that game at all. But a lot of interesting storylines in Week 8. A couple of big injuries this week. Derrick Henry, 6 to 10 weeks possibly. Possible ankle surgery, not exactly sure on what's going on with him in Tennessee. Another big injury that will be out for the season, Jameis Winston. Huge injury for the Saints.
ACL.
Huge ACL injury.
You know
I
about
can
that.
Feel that for J-Bo. Feel bad for the guy.
I think I tweeted, I think he's going to be comeback player of the year 2022. You can lock that one in.
I can
That's
see
gonna
it.
be a fact. He's going to get the Saints to win that division. A huge win by the Saints against the Super Bowl champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, by the way. So, Buccaneers, what do we think about them right now? They beat the Packers. They beat the Buccaneers. But other than that, not really any meaningful wins. So what do we think about this team, even with Jameis missing the rest of the season now? Do you think they can make an impact?
Well, I think Trevor Siemian came in, and I honestly didn't think he did terrible. I think there's going to be a little bit of a drop off, especially at first. It's hard for a backup quarterback to step in and play to that level. Mm. And it's not like Jameis was having this as an all-world team. But, still, there's going to be a drop-off when there's a backup quarterback coming in, trying to get settled in, And also, when's the last time Trevor Siemian started a game? That's a good question. So we'll see about him in that offense. I actually feel bad because we had Grimmy on a couple weeks ago.
I know.
Big Saints fan. Gave us a lot of insight for the Saints. This would have been a good week to have him back on. We will have him back on eventually. Shout out to him again.
He had something to be happy about, and now it's all gone. Now when he comes on, it's just like we got Trevor Siemian as our quarterback.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the guy, but we got some big things planned for later in the season. We're thinking Pro Bowl week, doing a little trivia contest. So for our loyal viewers, if you think you know some NFL stuff, slide in those DMs at North Shore Station or at North Shore Pod on Twitter and let us know if you want to get involved with this trivia thing. Grimmy's locked in. We're locked in. See if you're smarter than us. Let us know.
Yeah, big news out of New Orleans. Like I said again, shout out Grimmy, hoping to have him back on. But yeah, they had good stuff going. Jameis, starting to look more settled in the more and more he gets in this offense, and the offense looks good. And now he's out. I'm not sure exactly what Taysom Hill's status is, so I don't think it's a terrible loss. I think that could hold them back from being a Super Bowl contender.
Even with Jameis,
it was a stretch to say that.
Yeah.
But I think this kind of officially rules them out. I don't want to count out Trevor Siemian and the Saints, but it doesn't look as good as it once did.
And also Jameis Winston with the being a part of the video of the year after that post game where he's dancing with the crutches. The camera flips around. It's just him dancing with the crutches. That was amazing.
Oh yeah, it's hard, but you got to get jiggy with the crutches sometimes. I know that firsthand. But so yeah, another huge loss there, Jameis Winston. Another loss is for the Broncos, but it's not because of injury. Von Miller being traded to the Rams, and the Rams today putting up a tweet saying we're all in. They put a little GIF up, sliding the chips into the middle. Big poker players, I guess, over there in LA. So they're going all in on this year, and they're showing it. And that defensive line can be really scary now. Adding Von Miller to an already, you already have Aaron Donald, obviously, who's one of the best pass rushers, best defensive players in the league.
Jalen Ramsey.
That defense is going to be insane.
That GIF is from a fantastic movie called Rounders, by the way.
Yeah,
poker movie. Apparently
that's right.
Based on Norm Macdonald. Rest in peace to him. Great movie. Watch that if you haven't. But sensational job by their social media team, Steelers' social media team. I don't know if you saw some of the memes toying with the Browns. I know you've been trying to avoid this subject. We've been recording for about 6 minutes now. But is it about that time to confront your demons?
Yeah, we can get into it if you
And
want.
by
I mean,
demons,
it's.
I mean T.J. Watt.
Yeah, he's
T.J.
all
Watt
right.
was the difference between a win and a loss for for the Steelers this week. And if the Browns won, the reason for them winning would have been Myles Garrett. So it was kind of a coin flip of a game going into it. We both knew that.
Yeah, I mean, the lines on this one were real tight. I think, what was it, like 2.5?
Yeah, I think
3
3.5.
maybe.
Yeah.
So, a pretty tight line. Obviously it was going to be a tight game. Baker Mayfield banged up, but that's really not an excuse. He looked terrible. I didn't want him to play in this game. I felt better when we had Case Keenum as our starting quarterback. And then when I heard about midweek that Baker Mayfield was starting, I said, all right, well, we're going to lose now. And it's not because I don't think he can be a great quarterback. I think he has his moments. He's inconsistent. But right now, I mean, banged up. He's trying to do too much all the time. And in this game, the thing that hurts about the Browns is he really didn't play that bad. He didn't play terrible. A lot of drops, though.
Did get out. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying he would have. I'm not saying he won us this game. He certainly didn't lose us this game,
The
though.
receivers weren't doing him
Yeah.
any favors either. Odell Beckham is just non-existent.
Odell Beckham
nowadays.
is
One catch,
sad, man.
6 yards. Do you think they trade him before the deadline?
I don't know if we trade him, but I don't know if we trade him before the deadline, but I think it's definitely a move to make in the offseason. If
He's
not
not doing anything.
before the deadline, yeah, that's a
Jarvis
sad
back, though,
situation.
he didn't look great, but he's back.
Yeah,
He missed,
I mean,
8 weeks.
He was back, and I
5
think
weeks, 6 weeks.
we all said, majority of Browns fans kind of said this was Jarvis's worst game as a Brown, and he's been here for
last week.
4 years now. Yeah, but last week he played all right. He made some big catches down the stretch. He had some very good possession catches that were like challenging, and he was playing through injury. He got hurt again in that game and stayed in.
And it seemed like
made some good plays.
that catch at the end on that final drive looked like a catch that he'd usually bring down.
Yeah, I mean, we thought I was in the stadium. If you follow us on North Shore Pod on Twitter, you can see, had a little hype video, not really, but just a video from the stands. So I was there in attendance, and everyone I was sitting with said, "All right, we caught it. He caught it. We're still in the game." And then we look back, and the ball's on the ground. So that is definitely one that you expect Jarvis Landry to pull in, and I think that's shows the caliber of player he is. He's a high caliber guy, brings in a lot of tough catches like that. But yeah, I mean, overall, just an upsetting performance for the Browns offense. I have the Browns defense as my biggest loser of this week. Once we get into that,
let's just do losers first. You can talk about it while we're.
And it's not because they played bad. It's because they played great, or not great, but they played very, very well. And they played well enough for us to win this game, and they got let down by the offense. I mean, when you only give up 15 points, you should win a lot of games. I think Kevin Stefanski said that after the game. If you give up 15 points consistently, you're going to win a lot of games. But we only scored 10 points. Offense didn't look really good. Nick Chubb, we didn't really get him back into the game as much as I would have liked to. D'Ernest Johnson looked very good again, though. I think he's the guy to go to, honestly. I think he's got to keep getting carries.
You think instead of Nick Chubb?
No, I'm not saying over Nick Chubb, but I'm saying
getting some
you got to
action.
keep him in the game. He's obviously a guy who can make a
game
difference.
changer.
His touchdown was
That
a
touchdown.
very impressive run. I mean, he made a very impressive
That cut was that was impressive.
I just feel for the Browns defense because they played really well. They played their asses off. Really, really good effort. Like you said, Myles Garrett played well. They got decent pressure all day. Got a couple of sacks on Ben, and they just didn't get any help from the offense. They're on the field a lot too, and still only let up 15 points. So, a rough game in Cleveland. But if that defense can, like I said, if the defense can consistently hold people to 15 points, you should win a lot of games. So not a terrible loss on the defensive side, but obviously some concerns on the offensive side.
But with the last few games, I mean, not the last game because you won with Case Keenum, but you're kind of on a skid right now after the way you started the season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they're what? I think they lost 3 of the last 4.
I think so, yeah.
So, not a great. And I mean, it's not like we were playing pushovers either. Played the Cardinals, the Steelers, and I'm blanking on whoever the last team was, or I think the first team in that skid. But, like I said, there's a long season still to go. We're last in the division right now, but we're only, 2 games out of first place, if that.
First place?
Yeah. So
probably
it's
not.
really not. I think we're a half game behind Pittsburgh for third. Ravens had a bye week this week. Cincinnati had a big loss to the Jets.
Yeah, one in a row.
I don't know if anyone has them as their biggest loser, but that could be one because, that was a sad loss. Before we go fully into our biggest losers, we'll let Dom talk about the Steelers. Dom, what'd you see from Big Ben, from Chase Claypool, from Najee Harris? What do you think about the Steelers?
I mean, this offense is nothing special. We've known that for a while. Ben Roethlisberger, obviously not in his prime anymore, but the thing that's important is they're getting better every week. Najee Harris getting a little better every week. That offensive line is offering him a little bit of help. This touchdown was pretty fun to watch, but really the biggest difference maker on this team, possibly the biggest difference maker in the NFL that's on defense, is T.J. Watt. He's the only reason we've won some of these big games. You look at the Bills game, he's probably the only reason we won that. The Browns, he's a large reason why we won that. The Seahawks, he's probably the only reason why we won that game. So T.J. Watt is worth every single penny that we've been paying him. You pair that with Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson. There's some pieces on this team where the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't too bad this year, and this win was exactly what we needed to keep us in contention in the AFC North. So I'm optimistic so far. The schedule doesn't look too bad moving forward. We got the Browns with that extra day of rest on Monday night, so I'm very excited for that. I like what the Steelers are doing right now. I like how they're looking. Obviously, I'd like to see the offense have a little more pop, but we'll keep improving. That's all that matters. So,
Yeah,
Go
I mean,
Steelers, F those Brownies.
yeah, I mean the Steelers' defense looked really good, and you know, unfortunately, like you said, I think the Browns receivers helped them look good. But so yeah, big loss for the Browns, big win for the Steelers, gets them out of last place in the division.
One more thing,
a big winning streak too now for the Steelers.
I think that fourth down attempt where they ran it with Nick Chubb and they got stopped, I think that was the moment where the Steelers won that game, because the Browns' rushing attack is just probably number one in the NFL, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And for them to stop them right there, it just showed that the Steelers team isn't messing around. Also, Chris Boswell getting knocked out of the game, that was messed up.
Yeah, I mean it was a bad hit. It was a very
completely.
It was a very blatantly bad hit. Should have been illegal. Should have been a flag. No call. I'm not really even sure why they went for it there. Could have taken the lead before the half.
Yeah, I didn't like
so
that.
I didn't think it was a great decision from the
fan.
Steelers. But regardless, yeah, a bad hit there. Definitely should have been roughing the passer, if not head-to-head, if not unnecessary roughness. A lot of stuff that was wrong there that the refs just missed. So even coming from a Browns fan, like I said in the stands, like that was pretty blatantly bad, and I felt bad for Boswell and for the Steelers at that point. But
officiating was a bit weird in that game, kind of all around.
Yeah, and I mean,
questionable calls.
And you know, I think every NFL fan base in the league says, you know, oh, it was us versus the refs this week. It was us versus the refs. The Browns have been saying it for 6 weeks, and then I see tweets from Pittsburgh people saying it was them versus the refs this week, and I was like, well, really, it was bad both ways.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, the refs in this one, I don't know what was going on, but both teams seemed to get a couple of bad calls where it was like, I'm not sure what's going on with that call, but we got another one that wasn't good for the other team, so I don't know. But yeah, a lot of issues with the officiating. It seems to be around the league this year, really. So
Yeah.
something to keep your eye on, though, for sure. See if there's any offseason changes to any rules or anything like that. But moving forward in our biggest losers, after talking about the Steelers' big win in Cleveland, Camden on the sticks. Who's your biggest winner of Week 8?
My biggest winner or my biggest loser?
Or loser? Yeah, we're on the losers. Let's go. Who's your biggest loser of Week 8?
Loser is going to have to be Arizona. Losing to the Packers on Thursday night. Basically no receivers were active for the Packers. I mean, no Devontae Adams, no Alan Lazard, no Valdez-Scantling, basically Randall Cobb and a couple people they picked out of a crowd with a 50-50 raffle. This team was hot, and this was one on the schedule where, the Cardinals were looking at it like, this is one of the games that, we might drop here because we're playing a tough team. And they got the opportunity to take advantage of them at their weakest, and they didn't come up with it. The defense flustered Kyler Murray, got him out of the pocket when he didn't need to. Run game wasn't going anywhere. I think this is, it's one of those where it's almost like it's a bigger winner for the Packers, but it's a bad loss for the Cardinals, especially with the momentum that they had. Taking a loss like that when they could have easily won is difficult.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. The Cardinals, my biggest loser is a little different because I have the Buccaneers, and I think in this game against the Saints, they were outed as frauds. With the Cardinals, I think you can still look at them. They're Super Bowl contenders no matter what. It wasn't their best game. Kyler Murray didn't look very good at all. but they're still up there, and I don't think you can say they're the biggest loser this week because still think they have some respect in that game.
Yeah, and I think the way the game ends too is a miscommunication between AJ Green and Kyler Murray. Clearly, it would be one thing if there was a play where the Packers clearly outplayed them, and one of their players is better than AJ Green or something like that, or Kyler Murray makes a big mistake. But really, I mean, a miscommunication, and obviously that's something you got to iron out, you got to figure out. But it's kind of like a fluke. And I mean, at this point, obviously there's no fluke wins in the NFL really, but still, they're sitting at 7-1. So I think, I agree with you, Dom. It's a big loss for sure, but it's against a team that is in the talk of Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
It's not like they lost to the Vikings, or it's not like they lost to the Lions. They lost to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers on Thursday night in a nail-biter game. So I do think huge loss for them, especially after losing J.J. Watt.
Yeah. And like Camden was saying, with Aaron Rodgers not having like any of his receivers, that is impressive that they can still beat the Cardinals with that. I think the Packers are the hottest team. Them and the Titans, I'd say, are the hottest teams in the NFL at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think both those teams are very hot. I think the Titans might be a little bit cooling down now with the Derrick Henry injury. We'll get to that more later. So that'll be interesting to see where they go. But Dom, you mentioned your biggest loser of Week 8. Go on, who is it?
Yeah, my biggest loser of the week, I said already, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just don't think they're that good of a team this year. I don't think they are a repeat type of team. I don't think they might win a playoff game, but if they do, they're going to be pretty lucky because they don't have it like they used to. The defense isn't good enough. If you're going to let Trevor Siemian walk in there and drop 13 points on you in the fourth quarter to close that game out, then that's you're not a winning team. Tom Brady throwing that pick six, though, to end it, obviously he's still the man, he's still the GOAT, but does he have enough left in the tank? I don't know. I think we saw the last of him last year. I know people have been saying that for 6 years, but I think this is a year where as we move on with the year, we're going to start seeing the brakes fall off a little more and more each week. So my biggest loser is the Buccaneers losing to the Saints. Biggest winner, however, and I think this is another super hot team in the league, is the Dallas Cowboys, going in there with Cooper Rush, his first NFL start. He walks in there, takes over, doesn't have the cleanest game in the world, but he gets it done, and that's just what this Cowboys team has been doing all year. And if they have Dak, they're going to be even better. Their defense was always the issue, and they hold the Vikings, who have a super hot offense, to 16 points. Cowboys are going to be tough to stop. Camden, there's no one else in the NFC East at this point that will be able to touch them, right?
No, not even
6-1.
nobody. I mean, the Eagles are the closest one, and it's really not even close with them either. Washington is not. What do I even say anymore? A loss to the Broncos, 17-10. New kicker comes in. 4 kicks blocked in 2 weeks. Has anybody ever heard of such a thing ever happening? All from defensive linemen.
Former Pitt kicker.
Yeah, he should have stayed at Pitt or on the
He
couch.
went to Pitt years ago. I don't know how it seemed like he wasn't in the league probably like 2 or 3 years, and then somehow he's back, and he wasn't that good at Pitt, I didn't think. But yeah, that Washington football team game was kind of tough to watch because they had so many opportunities. The defense looked pretty good, I thought, too. I think it was their best game all season from what I've seen of Washington.
From the defense, yeah. The defense is here now. The defense, they're not what everybody wanted them to be, but they're here now. They moved Landon Collins to linebacker. He's done a lot better there. He actually played super well yesterday. It's just the offense that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like
What happened to Fitzpatrick? I thought he was supposed to come back like 2 weeks ago.
I mean, I don't really think it matters. It's Heineke can't find receivers. Receivers can't get open because we don't have any.
Okay.
The run game's non-existent because Gibson's been hurt all year, and McKissick can't run it. They tried to get Jarrett Patterson involved. He's just not ready yet. It's ugly. It's very ugly.
Life as a football team fan, cannot relate. So yeah, my biggest winner is the Cowboys. Cameron, I'll go back to you quick. Who's your biggest winner?
Biggest winner, Mike White and the Jets, taking down probably what was one of the hottest teams in football, the Cincinnati Bengals. They needed humbled, and they were. by Mr. Mike White and the Jets. Him
went
stepping in and throwing over 400 yards with that Jets offense. I mean, what happens with Zach Wilson now is my question, because I mean, how can you, with how he's played, you bring him back in and then just tell this Mike White guy to go sit back down and let Zach Wilson throw 4 more picks the next week? It's going to be interesting.
I think they trade him and try to get some value out of him while they can, because what else are they going to be able to prove with Mike White before the season ends? Probably not much. Either you roll with Mike White or you roll with the guy that you took with the 2nd overall pick, and it's probably going to be the guy with the 2nd overall pick. So maybe ship him off to Saints, get some pieces in return.
I guess. I mean, you're not going to roll with Mike White long term, obviously.
I don't know after what I saw.
Come on, let's be realistic. And then it doesn't look like Zach Wilson's working out long term as of what we've seen. Obviously, they're not going to give up on him just yet. It hasn't even been half a season, but it's kind of, it's a little dilemma that they have. And again, not like it matters. They're not going anywhere. They have plenty of time to figure it out before they're competitive again, but it'll be interesting to follow.
Luke is your biggest winner.
One last thing on this Jets game. I think that Mike White is probably my Rocky player of the week that I would use that saying on, but I'm not going to say it just because I don't want Dom to get angry with it. So, he already said it. But, he started off the first quarter or first half with 2 interceptions and 90 yards. And then he comes back, 400 total yards on the day, 3 touchdowns, and like you said, beats the Bengals. So big day for Mike White, big day for the Jets. Shout out to him for sticking with it, and bouncing back from a rough start, because that's not an easy thing to do for sure, especially against the Bengals, who have had a hot defense and had a hot team. My biggest winner of Week 8 was the Titans, and it's going to be rough for them moving forward. Citing Adrian Peterson to try to hopefully fill in a little bit for Derrick Henry. I don't know how much he has left in the legs. It could be sad to watch, especially for me, Adrian Peterson, one of my idols growing up, to be honest, big running back guy. So I've always been cheering for running backs, and who's the best running back when I was a kid? Adrian Peterson.
It's one of my first jerseys that wasn't a Steeler. Have you ever had a jersey that wasn't a Browns player? NFL?
I'm trying to think. I think I had a Brett Favre jersey at one point.
I had a Brett Favre too.
Which I don't think it was even mine. It might have been one of my brothers, but it got passed down to me. But
my dad was a big fan of giving me jerseys of whoever was the biggest stud in the league. I had a Matt Forte Bears jersey. I had a Larry Fitzgerald Cardinals jersey. And Brett Favre.
That's big time.
Studs back
if you still have those, you might have to get them
I think
extended.
I think I have a Jets Brett Favre jersey. I'll wear
that. A Jets one.
Yeah, that's a rare one.
I'll
wear a crop top one day. I'll wear it for the final episode.
That would look good.
Final episode.
But yeah, the Titans. It's a big win for them in overtime against the Colts, and it's kind of a bounce back win because they didn't look great early in this game. They were down 14-0 after the first quarter, and then come back and score 14 in the second, so that's big for them. Win it in overtime, real close game, really tight game. But Ryan Tannehill, he had a good game, 23 for 33, 265, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, not great. But I think he finally got A.J. Brown as involved as he needs to be. I think A.J. Brown, personally, I truly think A.J. Brown is one of the best receivers in the league.
I agree.
And I think he's shown it in the past, and I think now with Julio in there, it's kind of been hard for him to settle in. But in this one, he definitely did, and I think it might be because Julio didn't really play. I don't even know if he dressed, to be honest, but I see he didn't have any receptions here. But 10 catches, 155 yards, and a touchdown for A.J. Brown, and the touchdown was one of his signature, very athletically impressive touchdowns where he catches it and just kind of shrugs off the tackler and then goes for another 20 yards. So a big day for A.J. Brown, big day for my fantasy team because of it. And I think that he really picked up that offense, especially when you look at the receiving. Who was number 2 in receiving for the Titans? Jeremy McNichols. Their running back, or a running back that they have with 3 receptions, 33 yards. So obviously he picked up a lot in a lot of duty in that offense. Picked up that offense as much as he could. Derrick Henry only had I think he had 28 carries for 60 yards. Yeah. So not a great game, 68 yards. Not a great game for him, and of course ends up with the injury. So with that lagging, it shows A.J. Brown can pick up this offense. And hopefully, when Julio comes back Now there's not 3 big stars on the offense. Now it's back to just 2. And instead of it being A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, it's A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. It could be a big rest of the year for him, depending on, how things work out.
But
But
will it be a big rest of the year for the Titans as a team, though? Will they be able to consistently pick up wins like they were doing the last 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to be interesting to see. And I think the guy that it's going to be on is not just A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, but obviously the guy getting it to him, Ryan Tannehill. And I think he's going to have to step into a big role coming up in these next 6 to 10 weeks, especially, without Derrick Henry. So, and in this stretch of the NFL season, this is where the playoff picture really starts to get molded and sculpted, and you can see who are those front runner teams, who is going to get in the playoffs. So this is a very big stretch for Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. But the way that they stuck with it, kept fighting against the Colts and won this game in OT, that's why they're my biggest winner of Week 8.
I like it. You want to move on to locks of the week, or do you want to touch on some games first?
We can touch on some quick Week 9 preview games. Excuse me. Big Thursday night game this week, and it's the Jets and the Colts. So huge Thursday night game because neither of these teams are very good. It seems like, I don't know what the viewership will be for this one. The spread in this one.
It'll still probably have more viewers than the World Series.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I every year I forget that the World Series is even on.
Come on, Camden. You know that more people are going to watch.
This World Series has been electric.
I bet it has been, but
a lot of people don't even
NFL.
know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Nobody talks about it. I saw on like ESPN today, like I was like going through their Instagram, and they like were posting like the Charlotte Hornets after like right after Austin Riley bombs a grand slam and in a game elimination game in the World Series.
Because is
unbelievable.
ESPN streaming the World Series at all?
No, it's on Fox.
Yeah, exactly.
Fox and TBS, I think.
Well, there's the answer for that.
But they're streaming hockey though.
Yeah, and they also don't post many hockey clips either, but more now. It's all about how they're going to make money. So I get it, but still, NFL's king. There's no doubt about that. There's no shot that Game 7 would go on Thursday, would it? If it did, I'd probably end up watching Jets-Colts over Game 7 of the World Series.
Oh, come on.
I'd probably agree.
No way.
It's probably the truth.
I would
being
agree.
honest.
Wow.
I don't really have much of any interest in baseball unless, Cleveland's in it, and they're not.
Go Buggos.
So, even if the Pirates were in it, I would watch. But, it's 2 teams that I don't care about and a sport that I really don't care about.
Shame.
Excuse me. But, on Thursday night, a bad game going on, and you can tell because the spread is -10 for the Colts. -10, excuse me, against the Jets. Even after a big win with the Jets over the Bengals, like we said, Mike White, you think he's going to come into this game with a chip on his shoulder, see that spread, and, obviously they're big underdogs, and, when you're an underdog, you got nothing to lose, basically. So what do you think the Jets have going into them besides the fact that they are underdogs and they have nothing to lose?
Yeah, if it is Mike White, +10 is a lock there because he's a stud. And I don't know I'm very curious about how often NFL players and coaches look at the spreads before the game.
I wouldldn't personally. In college football, I will say we look at it a little bit, but I think it's kind of more of just like
interesting.
a little bit of a joke.
Yeah.
I know when we played TCU, the spread was 42, and we covered.
Let's go.
It's 42.5. We lost by 42.
Good team
so
win, great teams cover.
Exactly, and I think the Dukes last year or something like that. 2 years ago, I think they were like 9-1 against the spread or something. So we look at the spread a lot, and it's kind of just as a joke. I don't know how much they look at it in the NFL. Probably not much. But that would be an interesting question to ask. But I think this would kind of be a lock too.
Maybe
plus
not
10.
a legal question for these guys to answer.
Yeah, true. That's also true. But plus 10. I think that's a pretty good number for the Jets, especially the Colts coming off a loss.
Especially
they looked very
loss.
good in this game. Obviously, they put up 31, but still a loss.
They have some pieces on their offense.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie. Michael Carter's a stud of a running back.
Yeah, Michael Pittman Jr. is good.
Oh, I was talking about the Jets.
Oh, my bad.
But yeah,
my bad.
but Pittman in that last game, he showed that he's like a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
He can be.
The
Colts have pieces, but I think the Jets low-key have a pretty good offense from what I saw last week. Keaton Cole was one of the greatest catches that didn't count ever.
Oh, yeah.
It was sensational. But I'd take the Jets here.
Mercedes Lewis also made a run at that on Thursday night.
did see that
nice
catch.
one-handed catch,
Yeah.
one that didn't
Yep.
count. But Camden, are we going to go consensus pick here? Jets plus 10 on Thursday night.
If you're betting Jets Colts, you need to pick up one of these. Dial 1-800-GAMBLER and get help, because there's just no reason to put money on this. If I had to, I would probably take
Here we
Jets
go.
plus 10.5.
There we go.
I can't say that the Colts have enough to be able to blow them out by that bad. They're better than the Jets, but they're not better enough than the Jets. My horrible grammar. They're not that much better than the Jets to beat them by that much.
I think another line that's interesting is Broncos versus Cowboys. Cowboys are 9.5-point favorites. I mean, Broncos did lose the biggest piece of their defense of the last decade, but are they that bad to lose by 10 points to the Cowboys? I don't know. I don't think they're that bad.
Yeah, I was just looking at that as well. I mean, I still think, even without Von Miller, I still think they have a pretty good defense. I think they have a good young core on that defense. And I think their offense is obviously a question mark. They scored, 10 against the Browns, and they scored 17 this week against Washington. I mean, both those teams have good defenses, but still a question mark for sure on their offense. But 9.5, yeah, I think that's another wide spread that's kind of hard to look at, because it could be that way where the Broncos only score 10 points and then the Cowboys offense does what they've done all year and they just put up 35 or something. So I don't know. That's another line that's kind of touch and go. I wouldn't touch that personally. One line that I am looking at though now here is the Patriots are minus 3.5 on the road against Carolina.
I like that one a lot.
And that's,
I like
the Patriots are
a
looking
lot,
very good this past week. They really took it. They played very well, to say the least. I mean, I can't find who they played now. I blanked on it. The Chargers, 27-24. And the week before, I'm losing again, the Jets. They took it to the Jets. And of course, like we said, the Jets aren't that good, but they beat the Bengals. And they scored 54 points on the Jets, who, only let the Bengals score, 20 or 30 some? So, 31. And yeah, 31 isn't a great thing to give up for your defense, but against a hot Bengals offense.
Rookie quarterback dropping 50 points?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who they're playing.
The Patriots really are starting to get it going more. Bill Belichick settling into a new quarterback. I said it last year when they had Cam Newton. I think the more the season goes on, the more Cam Newton settles in, the more Bill Belichick settles in with Cam Newton and knows what he can and can't call and what they can and can't do with them. And I think it's the same way right now with Mac Jones. I think that's what you're seeing, and that's why you're seeing some of these wins that you're like, oh, wow, the Patriots are playing very good football right now.
Last one before we go into our locks of the week. Another AFC North battle, Browns versus Bengals. Very tight line here. Bengals are 2.5-point favorites. It is in Cincinnati. Doesn't really mean much. It's a 2-hour bus ride to Cincinnati probably for the Browns. But this is a huge game for your Browns. This is a massive game. I think if you lose this game, I have a hard time imagining a path to the playoffs for them.
Yeah, that's kind of been the conversation for some Browns fans this week. Already, it's only Monday, and we're already having those conversations of, if we lose this game, it might
trade
be
for Mike White.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we lose this game, though, is that the end for us? Because you're right, that's a long road back.
Yeah.
4-6 at that point, or wait, no, 4-5. We're 4-4 right now. Yeah. But I mean, there is still another whole half of the season. We're not even halfway through. But I mean, like you said, it would be a fully uphill battle from there, and almost one where you kind of have to win out. And it's talking about having to win out or maybe drop one, maybe two games. That doesn't seem like this offense can do it right now. Maybe if they settle in a little bit more like they did at the end of last season, they got pretty hot. If this defense keeps it up. But, if the offense doesn't help them, I don't see the defense keeping it up. And I'd probably take the Bengals minus 2.5 in this game if I was a betting man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think back against the wall, there's some hungry dogs. I like the Browns.
All right, now you're starting to sound like Baker Mayfield, and that hasn't been good anytime he comes up with one of those quotes this year.
I wish we had that fourth. I wish we had the monitor cam up so we could pull up the Baker Mayfield tweet where it's like, Cleveland, I need you guys to be loud.
Oh, yeah, I sent that to my friends this week, and I said, guys, we got to get loud. Yeah. Baker says it himself.
Except when we're on offense.
Yeah, except for when the offense is. I love, too, yeah. when the offense is on the field, be quiet, but other than that, go crazy.
Yeah.
That's over
Go
half the
bananas.
game. What do you mean when the offense is on the field, be quiet, but other than that? That's literally half the game, Baker. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah,
He's
I
turning
would.
on Baker now after coming at Camden for weeks for the Baker slander.
Well, I mean, I still think he's annoying, and I've always kind of thought he was a little bit annoying, but, I'm going to ride with him.
when he ran
And
out,
now he's bad.
When he ran out, like away from his teammates and got all
Yeah.
pumped up and stuff. That's when I knew that the Browns were losing that game and they were not going to score on that drive.
He's trying to get fired up and, be that chip on the shoulder, I'm playing hurt guy, but it's like you're bringing too much attention to try to be like that, and
But
I don't want to talk
But
about
don't
the
act
Browns
like you
much
weren't
more.
hype in the stadium when
I
you
wasn't.
jumped out of there.
I legitimately wasn't.
Yeah.
I very much
Sweet,
like
man.
I turned to
Very
my
cool.
friends and said that was stupid.
Okay,
That
I'm
was
glad.
dumb.
I'm
You
glad.
can ask everyone there. I said that
believe
was
you.
that was dumb of him.
Glad we're on the same page
Yeah.
with that.
But yeah, I don't want to talk about the Browns
All right.
much more.
We can move on to the locks of the week here.
Moving on to our locks.
Camden sitting at 5-3 after getting that Monday night win from 2 episodes ago, and then getting the Bears 49ers over this week. He's been on a roll with the over unders lately, so he's sitting at 5-3. I'm 1 game back at 4-4, and Lucas is 1 game back of me at 3-5. He bounced back last week. He got that win with Titans -1. Cam got I just said that the over of the 49ers game, and I took the Lions spread against the Eagles just because I was wearing a Lions shirt that morning. And they lost by like 45 points, so that was possibly the worst lock I could ever give you. But I'm going to bounce back this week. I'm no longer based on what I'm wearing, no more bias. I'm just telling you how I see it. So I'm going to take, since I was the only one who lost, I'll go first. Cardinals -2.5 in San Francisco. This is a divisional matchup, but this line is tight enough where I think the Cardinals bounce back. They have that chip on their shoulder from losing to the Packers. They're hungry. They're going to go in to San Francisco, and they're going to beat up on the 49ers, a team that really hasn't been impressing me too much. But they did get a significant win this week against the Bears, even though Justin Fields did look pretty good. I just don't think they're that great of a team. Their defense certainly isn't as good as it once was. That's why I'm going to take the Cardinals -2.5.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think it's going to be a big bounce back game for the Cardinals, and for that reason, I'd probably take the same thing. Camden, 5-3. What are we feeling this week?
I mean, I'm going to be at the Steelers game on Monday night, so I think it's only fair that I throw some money on the Bears, right?
No, you're going to be booing when everyone else is cheering at Heinz Field. You got to take the Steelers.
I might have to get me a hat or something before the game
You might need
starts.
to take the over.
I'm taking Bears +6.5. Again, the Steelers' offense is a dumpster fire, and Justin Fields kind of had a showing out game last week against the 49ers, helping me secure my my lock from last week. So I think it's only right that I ride with him this week, cheering as loud as I can for Justin Fields in the seats of Heinz Field.
You're going to get some slack for that. But I do like that pick a lot. Steelers aren't running away with anything. 6.5 points is too much against anybody with this Steelers team. So I'm a fan of that. It looks like you might move to 6-3, but go Steelers. I hope they whoop them up, and I hope you lose your lock. No offense. Lucas?
Yeah, final lock of the week comes from Philly. The Chargers are -2.5 against the Eagles, and I don't think it matters that it's in Philly. People always say that LA crowd doesn't really give much of a home field advantage, so I don't think the Chargers mind going on the road. And after a loss to the Patriots, like I said, at home, I think now they're going to go on the road and have a bounce back game. I think Justin Fields didn't look that good. He only got me 13 fantasy points this
Herbert?
week.
Justin Herbert?
Justin Herbert. I said Justin Fields, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
Sorry.
Herbert didn't look great against the Patriots, but I think the Patriots defense is pretty good. I think every year they're really, really good, even without Stephon Gilmore. So I think the Eagles defense is a little bit of a drop-off from the Patriots defense, to say the least. So
I'd say so.
I think that the Chargers are gonna win this game, and I think it's going to be by at least 3 if they don't run away with it, to be honest. I could see this kind of being like the Eagles and Chiefs game earlier in the year, where the Eagles hung with them a little bit, but the Chiefs just were too much for them and
Yeah.
just ran away with it. I could see the Chargers being the same way in this game, so I'm taking Chargers -2.5 in Philly. You can get more of the North Shore Station at North Shore Pod on Twitter. Make sure to follow us there. Follow us on Instagram. Dom Any closing thoughts? I see you pulling up DraftKings. Any closing lines you want to look at?
Yeah, there were a few more that I liked. I don't believe. Give me 1 second. It was the Chiefs. The Chiefs are playing
Chiefs and the Packers.
I like the Packers a lot. 2.5. If I had to, that was between that one with my lock of the week. I think Packers win outright here, so I'd take the Packers there. Another thing, one more that I like before I send you off. I like the Falcons +6 versus the Saints. Even though they did look pretty decent against the Buccaneers, even with Trevor Siemian, I like the Falcons a lot. I think they have pieces. They did lose Calvin Ridley, unfortunately. He seems like he's out indefinitely for the season. He's dealing with some mental health issues, so stuff's real serious. I hope he gets better and gets back on the field soon, so prayers up to him. But yeah, that's my other pick of the week. That's my closing thoughts for today.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those are real good. You don't know how Trevor Siemian's going to come out against the Falcons, and I mean, the Chiefs right now, obviously we can't talk about them too much because they're about to play in 5 minutes. But yeah, I think the Packers are very hot. I think given the Chiefs, even though it is in Arrowhead, giving the Chiefs the edge there in the line, not too sure about that. Camden, anything else? Closing thoughts?
I mean, this is the week of the NFL this season that I'm most excited for. Washington will not get to lose because they have a bye week, so I get to take a week off of mental strain.
watch
So
a good
I'm
football
excited.
team.
But then they get to play the Buccaneers the following weekend, or the following
Hey,
weekend.
maybe a Heineke revenge game, the game he should have won in the playoffs.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
We'll see. We'll hope for the Washington football team next weekend. But yeah, big rest up week for them. That being said, this has been episode 9 of the North Shore Station. Thank you for being with us. Shout out to Camden on the sticks. Absolute beast back there,
Absolute
dude.
beauty back there.
Absolute beast. Shout out to Dom sitting here. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for listening. Join us next week. It'll be another big one for episode 10, season 2, episode 10. And like I said, follow us on all social media. Stay up to date with us. Send in questions, whatever you want to do. This has been the North Shore Station. Thanks for joining us, and good night.